Good morning and welcome to the last day of African Utility Week. I'm coming to you from the African Utility Week studio. My name is Claire Falkvane, and with me today I have two gentlemen who are going to be talking to us about the changes that are happening within the Nigerian distribution sector. Now, with me is Dawie Pieterse, who is the Chief Technical Officer for Eco Distribution Company, and joining him is his colleague Sam Nwaire, who is the Chief Commercial Officer for the same distribution utility. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. We all know that Nigeria has undergone some incredible changes over the last year, maybe 18 months. And I wanted to find out from you, Sam, particularly, what have been the major changes that have happened over the course of the last 18 months? Maybe you could start by giving us some background on where you came from and where you currently are.
Yeah, thank you, Claire. For us in Nigeria, come about 2 years ago, until 2 years ago, we were the whole distribution and transmission companies, generation companies, and the transmission company, they were all under the government. At a particular time, the government felt that there is this need to, bring in a reform into the industry, and that went through all the legislative arms, and eventually an approval was given. But we actually kicked off in November 2013, and that was after the whole reform process was completed. And let me just concentrate on the disco. 11 discos was actually privatized, and ECO, which I represent here today, happens to be one of them. And for us, prior to this time, the legacy period, there were several challenges, ranging from funding to technology to management. Everything was like looking up to one father. You have to compete for time to actually get what you are entitled to. But coming in the new dispensation, you find out that the investors came in, and most of this is changed. Take, for instance, the issue of funding, actually seriously improved. We could right now, assess funding through the investors. All you need to do is to convince the investors on the plans that you have and what the dividends of that action would be. And that's we're actually getting through. Technology, yes, there is need to change, the way most of the whole thing was purely analog. We were doing everything manually. But this time, we have moved on to actually improving, the technology. Pattern of billing we have taken care of. Talk about the customer care in terms of making the customer to be a happy customer. That becomes, something that is on the front burner. So you can see that the dividends of the reform is actually being felt in the whole country. Though I wouldn't say without challenges, there are challenges, but for me, this is the best that could happen to any nation. Thank you.
Well, I mean, Nigeria undertook an enormous chance, I guess, when the country decided to reform the whole sector simultaneously instead of doing it in stages. How do you feel the customers have reacted to the reform? Are they feeling enthusiastic and positive about the opportunities?
Yeah, if you ask me, I would want to say that we have just done one thing that has not been done anywhere in the world.
Exactly.
Yes, nowhere in the world has it ever been done. I want to remind you that in some countries like South Africa, in some countries like India, countries like so many other countries, up to most African countries, you discover that the issue was that maybe you could find out that there is enough generation, but the corresponding collection, will actually be very low. So government will think that yes, we've gotten generation up there, but it's not commensurate to what is coming in. So then the need to actually privatize the company to actually go ahead and make sure that the collection efficiency increases comes in. But in our own case, I want to tell you that the generation was not there. The collection was also very, very low. Losses were just too high. My colleague will, I'm sure, take care of the losses. But what I want to say is that was a very big challenge, and there was skepticism, and people were, it was like, hi man, how possible is this going to be?
Yeah.
I'm sure in a couple of months the whole thing will crash. But I want to shock you by saying that immediately the private sector came in, the whole thing was managed, the expectation of the customers was managed, the issue of injection into the industry also came in, and then we are tuned to managing the little that we are getting, and in trying to make sure that all sectors of the economy benefit from the little that's available, and at the same time matching it with commensurate customer response in terms of collection. So you can discover that during the legacy days, the collection efficiency actually had, come up as at today. Okay. But the generation had not improved more than where it was before. So the issue, I will say, that we brought in management, proper management of what is available, and using it at the same level to be able to have an increased collection. And that's exactly what we have done. So for the customers, they are happy that at least they are getting, and at least they know when to expect and when to get. The allocation is being managed. And I want to also let you understand that the reform process is actually a success. The only thing that government is trying to look at right now is what we need to do to make sure that we increase generation, and at the same time, that most of the lines that we are there before right now are not the lines that will get done in one day. He will also take care of that, because you talk about the issue of what you inherited, epileptic and lines that are actually not, prepared to take the level that you are looking up to. But I think they are all investing in them, and my colleague will expand more on that, expatiate more on that.
Well, that's a good lead-in, Dawie. I was going to ask you, what is ECHO doing to address one of the big challenges, of course, that the distribution utilities have been facing, which is the huge gap between your customers and your metered base. Do you want to fill us in about that?
Yes, thank you, Claire. As Sam said, we've basically been going now for about 18 months. We started in November 2013. And during this time, we had some opportunities to get our plans in order. As he mentioned, it was previously a state-owned utility, with all the problems associated with typically a state-owned utility, and now it's a privatized, new, vibrant utility. And we are hoping to change that, and we've identified a number of areas where we want to focus. The first thing that we obviously did is to determine our long-term Capex plan, what we need to do to expand in terms of a number of things. We've identified 5 major areas where we want to focus. The first one is on the existing network. As Sam mentioned as well, the network that we inherited was quite an old rundown network. To give you an example, some of our cable networks have been installed by the British in the 50s and 60s.
Okay.
So you can imagine the technology and everything behind that. So we need to change that, obviously refurbish that, normalize that, and get it up to a certain standard. Also, there was a huge lack of investment and also maintenance on these networks. Also poor workmanship. So typically a state-run company type of problems that we're experiencing. So the first category of Capex is obviously to fix the existing network. The second biggest one that we're looking at is obviously expansion. We want to grow our customer base up to about 1 million customers over the next 3 to 4 years. Just as a little bit of background, we serve the southern part of Lagos, serving about 10 million people living in our area, so we want to increase our customer base.
So what is your current customer base in comparison to what is available within that area?
Yes, at the moment we are serving about 380,000 customers, and we want to grow that to about 1 million, which is a very ambitious plan at this stage, taking into account that one of the biggest problems that we're facing now is a lack of energy. We estimated that we need about 2,000 megawatt in the existing system, and we're only receiving about 300 megawatts from the grid at any point, on average. So you can see there's a huge shortfall in terms of,
yeah.
Yes. As Sam is rightly saying, to manage the customer expectation regarding the availability of energy is a huge job, because obviously they think that they need more energy, but there's no energy available. So that is one of our problems. I will just expand a little bit on that as well. The third area of our Capex where we are focusing is on loss reduction. We started off 18 months ago at approximately about 30% losses.
Are those technical or not technical?
It is basically ATC&C, so aggregated technical, commercial and collection losses,
okay,
at 30%. The technical part of that is very high at about 12% due to the old networks and the rundown networks, and then the balance of that is basically the commercial and collection losses.
Okay.
So we need to reduce that to levels of about 10% over the next 3 to 4 year period. So we are aggressively targeting that, and part of that loss reduction effort is our metering plan. We've submitted to the regulator a metering plan, a 5-year metering plan, where we will basically replace all the meters and add meters to our for all our customers. Currently, I think only about 15 to 20% of our customers are actually billed on metering, so on actual meter readings. So we need to improve that. Obviously, that will increase the confidence with our customers and also make sure that the utility can bill their customers in a fair and transparent way. So obviously metering is a huge focus area for us. And as you know, metering is not only the meters. Obviously there's a lot of back-end systems that will be supporting that. We are rolling out, as we speak now, we are rolling out our first phase of meters to our maximum demand customers with the back-end systems in terms of IT, etc., to be able to serve that. Then the fourth area where we will focus our Capex efforts is on ICT. As you know, a modern utility runs as much on the traditional network as it does on the IT
on
side,
IT, exactly,
and the communication side. So that has also been neglected, and it's also it's a good opportunity for us. If you look at what's happening in the utility space at the moment, we can basically leapfrog many of the older technologies and ways of doing things, and maybe implement some state-of-the-art technologies in our system. So we're really working hard to get that. The United States Trade and Development Agency is currently sponsoring a study for us looking at automation and modernization of our network. So we're very excited about that, to get a roadmap to guide us and help us to implement some world-class things. The fifth area of our Capex is all the other things that needs to be done. Typically operational vehicles. Our buildings and facilities are quite run down, so we need to refurbish those. Some specialist training and development, especially in terms of network planning and protection engineering and that type of thing. So we want to train and develop our own people as much as possible, and then also some of the other areas where we're focusing on is like equipment, test equipment, to be able to test and fix the existing assets.
And to be able to manage them and maintain them appropriately.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, and just to add to what is rightly said concerning the metering aspect of it, when we came in, we actually discovered that the kind of metering we were having within the non-KCG aspect of it, we are using the prepaid meters, and the prepaid metering that we had are the ones that actually would be difficult for you to download, exactly what the transactions had been in the metering. So we decided and said that there need to have a stop. There is need for us to do say, let all this stop here and let's conform into the new system of doing things. So we immediately decided to start deployment of, like he rightly said, the issue of the first phase of the smart metering. So the way it is today in ECO, if you are getting a meter today from ECO, you are getting a smart meter. The smart meter is we have just deploying. We deployed about 10,000 already on the non-KCG aspect, and we are making sure that every meter we install is a meter that we don't just need to go and visit it. It's a meter that we will definitely that can communicate, and we can stay in and actually get all the transactions that the meter must have gone through. So in other words, we've gone smart as long as metering is concerned, both for the KCG and for non-KCG through the automated metering infrastructure.
And will you roll that out across your entire service area, or will you be looking at giving some of the people in that area just normal dumb meters, if I can use that word?
The first phase, as I mentioned, is for our maximum demand customers. Obviously, they are the our biggest energy consumers,
Yeah.
so we need to cover them first. They will get full smart meter implementation, basically a full AMR, AMI system that will be backing them, as well as the next category of customers, which is the larger three-phase normal type of customers. They will all get smart meters. That makes, from a business point of sense, for us makes a lot of sense because we need to cover our biggest energy users. Then we will also, what we refer to as energy balancing meters, so all our substations, all the feeders will be metered as well as all our distribution transformers, to make sure that we know where our energy goes to be able to monitor that and to use it as check metering versus our billing metering. So that will be also part of this first phase of a meter rollout plan. Obviously, the remaining smaller customers is maybe not that big an income for the utility, but they've got the loudest voice. So we need to look at them at some stage in the future, and that's at the moment we are investigating a number of different technologies. We are seeing in the market at the moment some very innovative ways of metering, adding communication to existing meters and easily upgradable type of meters, whether you can either have prepaid or postpaid type metering solutions. So we are investigating that at the moment for the bigger, and we're running some pilots at the moment with some vendors and suppliers to find the best way forward for us at this stage.
I saw a very interesting gadget at an event I attended last year, where literally you plug it onto the meter. It's almost like you just add it on, and it gives you that enhanced communication capability, but it can go to, it can be added to literally any type of existing meter. So it's lovely to see that kind of innovation is coming out of the technology providers as well.
As I said before, I mean, we've got this opportunity now. We can be at the forefront of technology if you really think about this, because we can look at what other utilities have done and maybe learn from their mistakes or even their best practice, and only use that. Our vision for Echo is to be the leading utility in Africa within the next few years. So that's really our vision for Echo, and I think we're well on the way to achieve that.
And presently we are, in terms of market settlements in Nigerian electricity markets, so today Echo is number one. In other words, we are saying that whatever bill, that settlement bill we get from the market operations, we have always settled 100%. So in other words, the losses that we are having, we are able to accommodate that within our own costs, and at the same time making sure that we pay for the energy that we have taken from the grid. So that places us a little bit, ahead of most of our own contemporaries.
So you're already sustainable economically.
Definitely, but that does not mean that we are already there. We are not there, because what it means is that as we are doing everything to satisfy the market, but we also discover that the way that the investors should be happy with in terms of finance returns, that they are not getting. But that becomes the next challenge. The first challenge is to make sure you meet up your market requirement. Then you now come back to talk about the investors, what is expected for them to get. But they have been very, very patient. They have been very, very supportive, and they have actually made us to walk in the direction of being the leader. And that's exactly is what we are doing.
Well, I look forward to seeing the journey that Echo is going to take. I mean, you have an incredible opportunity to literally rethink the way utilities operate in Nigeria, and I think that you're at the beginning of a very exciting journey, and I hope that we'll be able to catch up with you next year, find out how things are going, what improvements you've managed to make, how much lower your losses are. So thank you for your time this morning. I'm sorry that we don't have more time to talk, but as I said, we look forward to catching up with you again. So from the African Utility Week studio, sadly signing off on a very interesting discussion, I'm Claire Falkvane. Thanks for listening.